Anybody that lives in a hot area knows there's two things that you need: sunscreen on yourself and sunscreen on your plants. So for my trees that are really sun sensitive, like avocado trees, especially on the branches, I put a application of an agricultural paint or an agricultural sunscreen a couple times a year. You can also use a water-based latex paint. It's not as good for your plants, but it works well. What I like to do is I like to use this agricultural product. You mix it with water. I put it in one of my ag sprayers, and it gets the job done really quickly. You want to do it a couple of times a year, especially in Southern California where it's super hot. You don't have to worry about the leaves as much, but what happens is you get sunburn on the branches and the trunk of the plant, and it will actually turn them black and brown, and what happens is they'll crack, they'll die, and it's kind of like being stuck out in Death Valley. Let me show you how easy it is. It only takes a few minutes if you have the right tools. Get the products, get the tools, get to work. All right, step number one, take the lid off. Next thing you want to do is you take out your bag. It's a white powder. Take a tablespoon, put it into your ag sprayer. I like to use a really thick coating, so I use 2 tablespoons. And we're just going to dilute it down until I like the consistency of it. Take your hose or your water. Try not to make a mess. So I'm going to use about 1/4 gallon of water. And then I'm going to check it. It's a 1/2 gallon sprayer. Take a paint stick, kind of stir it up real good. You don't really want to shake it because then it gets foamy. And if it's foamy, it doesn't want to spray as well. It's looking pretty good. So if you pull it out and it's sticking to your paint stick, it's pretty good. It's an indication that it's thick enough. I'm going to spin it around to the other side of the paint stick where it's a little thinner. Actually going to add a little bit more. This whole packet will make 5 gallons. Doesn't really work that way. If you want to spray the leaves, that's fine. But if you want a decent coating on the wood and the trunk and the stems, you got to make it thicker. You can already tell now that this is getting nice and thick. Yeah, if you can see that. Plenty of residue still on the paint stick. I like to use the paint stick that already has a little bit of paint on it, that's hardened and dried, because it's not just going to stick to it because it's wet. It's actually going to stick to it because it's coating it. Want to wash this off. Wash your hands off. Kind of want to clean off that edge around my ag sprayer. Put your powder away. Make sure you seal it up. Pop your lid back on. hot out here today. It's already about 95. Want to tighten that up? It's just a hand pump, super easy. That's it, time to go spray. Alright, I've got 2 avocado trees in the background here. This short stocky one is a universal pollinator, and that'll pollinate A and B varieties. Then right behind it's a lamb hoss. I'm going to spray them both down. It's super easy. Nice thing about these sprayers is you can give it like a stream spray to get up high and to give it a thicker coat, or you can simply twist that nozzle and give it a fine mist. Whatever works better, you got to use both. It's as simple as that. If this doesn't give it a good enough coating on the open bark area, you definitely want to go through with a thicker coating, like a diluted water-based paint, and just paint it on the trunk and the branches with a paintbrush, okay, to give it a really good coating. This typically works really, really well. I let one side go this year just so you could see what happens with sun damage. And I also wanted to free up some side on that for the apple tree to grow out. And I want to force the avocado tree to grow the opposite way. So I'm going to show you some close-ups of what sun damage really looks like and why it's super important to avoid it, because it will kill your trees, okay? Alright. So look how white that coating is. That'll really protect it. So if you get up close here, you can see this dark black spot underneath the protectant. That's sun damage, sunburn. That's definitely what you don't want. So you really want to protect the south side, the east side, and the west side if you live in a hot, sunny place like California and you want to have happy avocado trees. See, the leaves will shade almost all of the branches, but on the tops, on the shorter plants, this is wide open. So you can see these really dark areas from last year. Plant's still living and thriving, but look how protected it is now. It's basically got sunscreen on it, zinc oxide. There's another area that gets hammered all summer long right here. You can see the dark area underneath from last year. Before I started doing this, as you go up, you do not want that to happen to your plants and your trees. So these are all super really healthy. You can see sun damage here from 2 years ago. There's brand new growth, new leaves, new leaves, new leaves. Catch it early and save your plants. These are all new budding leaves. So this plant's super happy and healthy. Nothing to worry about. All these brown leaves that you see are just old leaves. They're not from the sun. That's natural. Brown leaves will drop off and make room for all those new ones. Here's some new buds that have already opened. The old leaves simply fall off. They make great mulch. If you live in a windy area, rake those up and stick them in your compost bin. So here's a part of the tree that I didn't protect. I wanted to show you a little bit of sun damage, and I wanted to thin it out so there's more room in between the trees. So this is sun damage. See what happens? Just dies out. Sun damage. See that? You don't want that to happen to your tree. I'll show you this. See how it's all cracked? That's all sun damage, okay? From last year. You want to stay on top of it. I'll probably put a little bit more right here. So I'll probably put another application right there. But that's what you want to do. You want to protect your plants. Apple trees don't really have that issue, so you don't have to worry about the apple trees. Avocado trees really get hammered by the sun on the branches. You got to remember, their original habitat is going to be a tropical environment where it's cloudy all the time, and they get a lot of rain in the summer, and it's always cloudy, so you don't have that sun hammering down on them. It doesn't matter if I got my sweet potatoes with some sunscreen, they'll actually like it, and it's all organic, so there's nothing to worry about. Citrus, you can do it as well. They get hammered by the sun, but this one has a really good canopy of leaves just coming in with new ones, so I'm not going to worry about it. One thing you really want to worry about in addition to avocados are all the tropical plants. There's a mango. So that manila mango is going to need a coating of sunscreen. This one's a really high shade area. That's why it's a small tree and doesn't do as great. But it still gets that afternoon sun that will take its toll on the trunk. This one looks really, really good. But if you can see right here, that's sun damage. Okay, sun damage. Sun damage. Sun damage. Sun damage. You want to spray these down, especially these tips. Stuff behind the leaves, they get a little more protection. But the stuff that's not hiding behind leaves needs to be protected. All right? And you're done. Now let's go look at the avocado trees now. They look like they've been flocked. So if you ever go to a Christmas tree farm at Christmas, they have the green ones, then they have the white ones. White ones have been flocked. My avocado trees have been flocked now, but they are protected from a lot of the sun's ultraviolet light. They're not going to get hammered. They're not going to get scab on their branches. They're not going to get sunburn, and chances are they're going to produce better next year. I hope you learned something today about protecting yourself and your trees from sun damage and sunburn. It's damaging to people, it's damaging to tropical trees, avocados, mangoes, papayas, bananas, you name it. Things that typically grow in a tropical environment. They love the heat, they hate the sun. So you got to remember, tropical environments, it's cloudy a lot of the summer, rains a ton, but it's hot and humid. Southern California, we don't get rain and we don't get much cloud cover, so it's just a baking sun. You want to protect your plants and your trees that are sensitive to sunburn, like avocados, from that by applying either a watered down water-based paint or preferably an organic agricultural powder that you mix with water and spray on there. They also make really fine clays that are agricultural organic clays that you can mix with water and spray on your plants. So look in your area, look at your farm supply stores, look online, and order anything you can to protect your plants. Have a great day. If you learned something, like the video, it really helps me out. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, that helps me out, and we'll see you next time. My hands are clean, but get them dirty. Bye-bye.